the carpiest time of the year, as I call it. It's proper carpy when it's autumn. I'm only here for 24 hours, so I'm not doing a very long session at all. You know, not knowing the lake and not knowing even the swim, so I don't even know. I'm just trying my best here. I did actually see a carp swam out from the reeds to my left, right where my margin rod is. Well, I've got my coat on. It's nice and wintry coat to blend in with all the leaves dropping off the trees. Well, you join me down at Monk Lakes. Pleased to know I'm actually fishing on the Specimen Lake this time and not on my members' lakes here. It's part of the dating here. The lake is called Mallard. I have fished it once previously, but didn't catch anything. I don't know the lake. I have no idea about anything about the swims or anything. I know that it's got some big carp in it, but also there is actually some massive catfish in here. Even though it's autumn, carpiest time of the year, as I call it. It's proper carpy when it's autumn. We're not fully into autumn, so it's still quite warm and the catfish are definitely going to still feed. Well, I'll see what happens anyway. I'm hoping to avoid them as much as possible. Well, after looking around the whole lake twice, didn't see anything, nothing to go on, so I thought find out what swims are free. There was a few people on, so I had to just quickly look around. Most of the swims I can see are quite tight swims. You can only really fish 2 rods in, and they look alright, but overall I kind of wanted a nice wide swim and just a nice wide area of the lake where I could start something, and then if I see fish jump or anything, that means I can probably cast to it. But the lake is pretty small. It's smaller than I thought it was. Having a swim that I can see majority of the lake means that I've got a little bit more opportunity to maybe cast it. If no one else turns up in a certain swim, I can cast across and maybe I'll get carp that way. There is an island, and that bit's sort of cut off to the right of me. Nobody else is here on this open water section. So when I got into the swim, I cast around a lead to see what was in front of me. I know there is some blanket weed in here, and there's also a lot of like debris on the bottom. There's leaves and all sorts of bits, twigs and stuff, so I knew there was lots of bits on the bottom. I had to try and figure out if I could find anything clearer, and as I was doing that, I kind of found out that it's really shallow at the moment. You can see from the margins how much the water has dropped. It looks like they've lost like a foot and a half of water. It's absolutely crazy. I can only find about 2 foot of water out there, so it's pretty shallow at the moment. I'm sure there is deeper areas, but because the water's dropped, it's really shallowed up. I found 2 areas. Now they're firm areas that have got less debris on them, less bits. I didn't find any weed as well. And there's a bit of a drop to the lead when I pull it down. It's a bit soft. I'm assuming that it's probably just like firm silt or something like that, which is good enough. I decided to put one closer to the margin. Now there's a nice piece of reeds that go all the way along and then get to a point, and it sort of goes all the way around the back into a little bay. And it looked really good, but really shallow. You can find there's about 1.5 foot of water, about 6 foot from the reeds. Now I suppose it's as close as I can get in the depth of water that I reckon that a carp would feed in. Some of it's a couple of inches all the way down to sort of foot-ish just off the reed. So I've only done that just so I can fish deep water. That one is on a Ronnie rig on a lead clip, and I've gone for an all nut 15mm wafter, but this is the cork dust wafters, but they've actually got a pink tinge into them. Not blatant pink, just a slight pink to them, and I'm going to be trying that on this session. I'm hoping that I'm going to get one on that as well, because I think that's a really good little subtle little colour to it. Hopefully it will draw them into that little coloration and pick it up. I've tipped it off of a microplastic corn. Don't want to add any more buoyancy to it because it's a wafter, but it's only got a teeny bit of buoyancy, those little corns. They're really small. I've just put it on, just a little fleck of colour on top. I've also chopped the top of it off. Now the reason I've done that is because I'm going to be feeding over chops over the top. I've got 18mm all nut bottom baits, and basically I've just chopped them in half, and I've put in about a handful of those over the top. So that is the reason why I'm actually chopping the top of that wafter, just so it looks a bit like a chop. Sneaky. I'll see what happens on that one. I think it's quite sneaky and I think it's pretty good. It's just a bit different from what most people do on here, and I like to try and do something different on a lake and see what happens really. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't, who knows. Now the other two I've actually got on solid bags on both of them. but I didn't know where to put them exactly. But I did actually find one clear area about 9.5 wraps out. I wrapped it up just to check where it was. So I put one solid bag straight on top of that. But the other one I didn't know what to do with, because that was it really. That's all I could find out there. So I've cast it a little bit more left, and the reason I've done that, and couldn't really find anything extremely firm out there, but it isn't a solid bag, so at least it can sit on top of any debris or any wee or anything. But the reason I've done that is because I've seen lots and lots of disturbances and stuff. There is actually pike in here, so it could be them making all these disturbances and little wakes and little things like that. But I've seen some bubbles as well, and there is a few other species in here as well. There's tench and roach and yeah, as well, so I did see a few of them jumping out as well. But I think overall I think it's pretty good putting it there, because there's been some kind of activity anyway. The solid bags I've made up of walnut boilies that I've crushed up and put at the end. Normally I put red lobster stick mix in there, but I've gone for an walnut ground up boilies because I just wanted something nutty to go in there and not to be too fishy or anything, to trap those catfish in, and something a bit different as well. A bit of boilie crumb is pretty good, and hopefully that'll put a lot of scent in the water as well. The pellets that are in solid bag are 2mm red lobster, and also there's some 2mm walnut in there as well. The reason I've gone for the red lobster is just to add that little fishy scent in it. Okay, I'm going to track catfish. Yes, of course I'm going to track catfish, but I prefer a pellet with a fishy smell. So like halibut pellets and stuff like that are brilliant. So that's the reason why I've done that. Obviously, yes, I'm going to catch catfish properly, but I've tried my best to avoid them as much as I could anyway. I decided that because I didn't know this lake, I was going to fish two different colours, pink and yellow. Like I said, the other one has got pink and yellow on it together, but I've decided to put pink and yellow in each of the solid bags of a colour. So one is on a 12mm ocean fruit yellow pop-up, but I've put the shot in the middle. I've done it KD style, so I really want it to be a wafter really. And the other one is actually on an walnut pink wafter. Now that's just the normal wafter, it isn't actually a cork dust wafter, it's just a normal standard wafter, but it's got the pink on it, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it'll do quite well, especially in the winter. I'm definitely going to get a lot of carp on in the winter of those little pink little wafters. Brilliant in the solid bag. I'm only here for 24 hours, so I'm not doing a very long session at all, and I don't know what I'm doing on this lake at all. I'm just guessing what I'm doing, and if something changes and I need to adapt and quickly change, then I will do that. Get the most out of my session, I will do it, but for now I'm just going to wait. I'm probably going to get bites overnight or maybe in the morning, but we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful, and let's see if I can catch a carp. Well, it's been a couple of hours, nothing's really happened. I kind of expected nothing to happen really, but you know, not knowing the lake and not knowing even the swim, so I don't even know, I'm just trying my best here. But I'm sure we'll get something. I have seen some activity in the swim as well, which is really promising, mostly from pike really, but I did actually see a carp swam out from the reeds to my left, right where my margin rod is. Well, it's pretty good. It looked like a 20 to me, so looking good, and it swam in shallow water as well, so he wasn't even bothered by it. So yeah, hopefully something happens. Probably more likely in the morning really. At night I'm probably got a higher chance of catching the catfish, but I reckon in the morning when it's nice and cool, I think there's a good chance of getting one. We'll see what happens, and hopefully I'll catch something. Well, as you can tell, I've had nothing apart from a tench, which I enjoyed. It was only a small one, and I had a weird indication about 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't think the rig was actually picked up. I think the line was picked up, and that is it really. That is it for me. As you can tell, it did get a little bit cold last night. Not extremely cold, but a little bit cold, and I like to be nice and comfortable when I'm fishing, so I put my coat on, this nice and wintry coat to blend in with all the leaves dropping off the trees. Not that many leaves dropping off the trees really, because it's not fully autumn yet. There's the odd one or two, but not many. It did look really good last night, but it went a bit quiet, and then this morning it looks even better. I've seen a few fish jumping out and a few pike chasing some little fry. Haven't seen any carp this morning at all, but I don't know. I don't know. I've never fished this lake before. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong swim, who knows. But at the moment I'm going to stick with it. I'm probably actually going to recast all the rods, refresh all the hook baits, and then just give it the last couple of hours like that, and all fresh and all back out on the spots, and maybe that might produce something, you never know. But I'm going to keep myself active anyway and keep trying, and hopefully we'll get something soon. I'm hoping anyway. Well, I didn't manage to catch anything, but I have tried really hard. I did catch that tench, but the positive thing is I didn't catch a catfish, which is really good. I know this lake can be tricky, and obviously I've only fished it once previously and didn't catch anything, so I didn't really know huge amounts about the lake. I've heard little bits and bobs about what to do and what tactics to try, but I didn't really know huge amounts about it, and I've had a go. Nothing's happened this time, but I definitely will be back, probably spring next year, and then hopefully then I'll catch a carp from here. So all I've got to say is thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.